Preparing to live stream. We should be live in a minute or less, and it's not quite 10. Shall I admit all?
I think so. And if you could share the YouTube link, please. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We are very excited to have you all here this morning with ourselves, the Democratizing Entrepreneurship community, and of course, our guest speaker, Fabrice Testa, who we'll be introducing in a moment. Please take some time out and say hi to us again, as per normal in the Zoom chats. Tell us where you are from. I'm very aware that we have people from Mexico, America, the UK, all over the world joining us here this morning, and we are extremely excited to have you here. So don't hesitate to say hi in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and even mention your business if you would like. We are live on YouTube at the moment as well, just to bring that to your attention. And we are streaming all our events live while we are live with our guest speaker every Friday morning. So we've got quite a number of people who's joined already. Craig, I don't know if you would like to make me host in the meantime.
No problem, will do.
And Fabrice, you are still able to share. I see. I was just keeping an eye on that as well. A lot of people from Johannesburg. We've got people from Stellenbosch. We've got Julie from Hamilton, from London. We've got Gwen from a beautiful place in South Africa, Fabrice McGregor in the Western Cape. It's one of the most beautiful little towns in South Africa, in the Cape area. Please don't be shy. Say hi to all of us. We've got Nagesh from Bangalore in India. He's a management consultant there. Excellent. Grimsby. Wow, this is brilliant. Excellent. And I know there's a few people who are still waking up. It's 3 a.m. in the morning where they are from. I had a few people, Craig, who checked to confirm that we are GMT +2 because of the hour, and they're setting their alarms to wake up very early this morning. Please, those of you who just joined, keep on saying hi in the chat, and we'll start in about a minute or so, Craig. Okay, we've got Lana, another active community member of ours from Johannesburg. I was chatting with her while I was looking out over the treetops of Sandton yesterday while I was sitting outside, and that was wonderful. Enjoying our summer afternoons here with the thunder that was building up yesterday afternoon. So I know we have quite a few people who join us during the first 5 minutes. I think, let me just check time, Craig. I think it's good to get going. Let me admit more people.
Awesome. You'll keep admitting, and welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us again. And special thanks to Fabrice Testa for being here and for this exceptional masterclass that you are going to be blown away by, I can guarantee it. Fabrice is an exponential thinker, innovator, serial tech entrepreneur, business angel investor, trusted advisor, public speaker, author, and much sought after mentor. He has successfully founded, co-founded, or participated in the launch of multiple companies that created thousands of jobs and generated multi-millions in revenue. He is the creator of the Superpreneur Blueprint, which is why we're here today, a set of cutting-edge strategies and tactics for elevating entrepreneurs to the status of superpreneur and for materializing crazy ideas and building breakthrough ventures that solve the world's biggest problems. Drawing on his vast experience and a combination of extraordinary capabilities and a moonshot mindset, Fabrice has helped more than 100 companies to excel in their field. As a natural and inspirational leader, he helps disruptive startups succeed and supports corporates in overcoming disruption and leading transformation in the industry. Offers keynotes, workshops, coaching, team development, and board advisory services. Fabrice, thank you again, and over to you. This is really exciting, and we're delighted to have you.
Yes, thanks, Craig. Thanks, Liesl. Hello, everyone from all over the world. I'm very happy to be here to deliver this masterclass about becoming a super entrepreneur, or what I call the superpreneur, to solve the world's biggest problems. And what I think is that most of the world's biggest problems can be solved thanks to crazy ideas. And as far as I remember, even when I was a kid, I love crazy ideas. So now where come this, let's say, passion for crazy ideas is because, you know, we can believe that our ideas are crazy, but sometimes crazy ideas really lead to real things. And I'm going to give you some examples. And as Kobi Yamada said, sometimes probably we are not crazy enough. And I think that I always also love boldness. And probably this comes because I was a huge fan of the Star Trek series, you know, and I was following the adventures of Captain Kirk, of Spock, etc. And if you remember in this series, Captain Kirk and the other guys of his crew were using a small flip-flop phone, and they could see each other in video calls, etc. And at that time, in the 60s, 70s, this was looking as a crazy idea, you know. But now we have this as a commodity on smartphones. So it's in our daily life and it's not crazy anymore. But in the past, it was seen as a crazy idea. Another series that I love very much was the $6 Million Man. And maybe some of you remember about this series with Steve Austin, an astronaut that crashed, and he was reconstructed, and it cost $6 billion by that time, thanks to bionic technologies. And for example, he has a bionic arm, and thanks to this, of course, he is very strong. He can lift very heavy things thanks to this arm, you know. And again, this looked quite crazy by that time, but now bionic arms exist. And for example, this is a kit that doctors place a bionic arm on him, and is even, let's say, customized with Iron Man, you know. And the kit was, of course, very happy, as you can imagine. So as I say, crazy ideas, but we see that they've been materialized after some time. Another things that I think was quite crazy by that time was the space shuttle, you know, the fact to live vertically and to land as a plane was also crazy idea. The space shuttle program proved that it was working. Maybe it was not super efficient because it cost a lot of money. And of course, there were 2 major crashes with a lot of killed astronauts. But the idea was nice. And when we see now Starship from SpaceX, Elon Musk company, again, it's the same principle. It will lift up and will land, well, not like a plane, but it will land again, and it will be a reusable rocket. It's not working totally now, but I guess that in a couple of months, it will work perfectly. So from my early age, I thought that nothing is really impossible, you know? And as Audrey Hepburn says, the word itself says, I'm possible. And so I do believe that as long as you don't go against the laws of physics, many things today are really possible. And in my career, I did quite a lot of things that seem impossible, and we proved the contrary. For example, when I was still an engineer, I worked on what is called the Very Large Telescope. So it's 4 big telescopes. The primary mirror is 10-meter diameter. The building is more than 25-meter diameters. And these telescopes are installed in the north of Chile, in the desert of Atacama. And you can see on this slide how it looks like. So they cut a mountain and they install the 4 telescopes on the top of the mountain, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. And these telescopes, you know, each telescope is 4 billion times more powerful as the human eye. And when you combine the 4 telescopes, thanks to interferometry, it's 25 times more powerful than 1 telescope. So thanks to this telescope, of course, the purpose is to observe the far end of the universe. And thanks to the VLT, which is the name of this telescope, Very Large Telescope, they could be able to see some celestial objects which are a little bit before the Big Bang. And so they could really understand what happened a little bit before the Big Bang. And this telescope is so powerful that if you are on the Earth, you can see the lights of a car that will be on the moon. So that's quite fantastic. And again, initially, it looks like a crazy idea, but humans prove that it is possible. Another project that seemed crazy by that time was nuclear fusion. And I was one of the very first one to work on the very first prototype of nuclear fusion. And by that time, everyone was thinking, yes, that's crazy, etc. But now people are building the first nuclear fusion plant in France. It will take, of course, quite a significant amount of time before it's really working, but it's on progress. I also introduced interactive kiosk in different areas, so hospitals, etc., to allow mentally disabled children to play with this, with touchscreen. And it was the very first touchscreen. Now, touchscreen, again, is a commodity. Everyone has this on the smartphone. But by that time, we had not so many touchscreen. And now and by that time, it was very helpful to help these mentally disabled children to play and to learn some things, etc. And again, this now has been leveraged because if you see this small robot, which is manufactured by a Luxembourgish company called Lux AI, which combine robotics, artificial intelligence, this small robot is interacting with children who have autism, you know, and thanks to this robot, it's really helping these children. So again, it looks crazy initially, but we prove that it can really lead to some breakthrough solutions. Now, you may be, most of you may be entrepreneurs, and probably you are just seeing entrepreneurship as a way to have some lifestyle business. So, and that's fine. I think that's probably fine. Now, what I think is that most of the time, the energy or the effort that is required to build a lifestyle business is not less than to build a breakthrough business. So, as Mark Andreessen, who is one of the father of the modern internet and a successful venture capitalist, says, Smart people should build things. And I do think that it's the role of entrepreneurs today to contribute to build a better world and to be builders, to build things, to provide solutions to real problems. I have nothing against, social apps, etc., and I'm a quite big user of social apps, but it's not going to solve some big problems that we have. And so what really I encourage every aspiring entrepreneurs to really build things. And so my role at Superpreneur Blueprint is to elevate entrepreneurs to become super entrepreneurs or superpreneurs to solve the world's biggest problems. And how to do this? I think that one way to do this is by materializing crazy ideas, to come with unconventional, radical ideas, because most of the conventional ideas have proven that they have some limits. So it's time to come with some new, fresh ideas that can seem crazy initially, but if you pursue them, you will see that you can really come to some breakthrough. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples so that you understand what I mean. Now, before giving you the examples, you may ask, yes, but do we have so many problems? That's a legitimate question. And maybe some of you read this book from Steven Pinker, The Better Angels of Our Nature. And in this book, the author argued that violence has declined over time and that there are much less problems and that the world is getting better. And I think that globally he is right. It's true that if we look back maybe 100, 200 years ago, the world is much better, for sure. Nevertheless, we cannot, let's say, forget that we live in what I call the age of exponential acceleration. What does it mean? It means that the pace of change of everything is going today exponentially. So technologies, problems, everything is going exponentially. And we see it with the pandemic of the COVID, it went really exponentially. The problem of this world, which is with exponential acceleration, is that our human adaptability has always been linear. So there is a gap between our adaptability and the world we live in. And to fully understand exponentiality, think that if you just walk 30 linear steps, you will just move forward of 30 meters. But if you could do 30 exponential steps, you will be able to make 25 times the round of the Earth, of the planet Earth. So exponentiality is a very strong concept, which is always difficult to understand. But remember that today everything is going exponentially. And most of the problems that we are facing today are going to increase exponentially unless we bring some solutions. Now, again, your question may be, what are these problems? And here you can see some of the 10 most important problems for the next 50 years. Maybe we should update this list and put disease like pandemic as number one. But it's true that one of the top problems today is energy. We are more and more on the planet. We are consuming a lot of energy on the planet. Today, it's still the majority of the energy coming from fossil fuels, and we know the effect on the planet. So we need really to come with a new paradigm, to come with renewable energies, much more, and to really be rid of fossil fuels. This is a major challenge for the years to come. Water is also a big problem. On Earth, there is a lot of water, but unfortunately, many people on the planet don't have access to drinkable water today. And sometimes in some countries, they need to walk kilometers to try to pick some drinkable water. That's not normal at the 21st century. Food is also a big problem. In Western countries, we have an abundance of food, and sometimes we have a lot of waste with food, for sure. And we have problems of obesity, etc. Why in some countries, some people, they have only one meal per day. And we have an excessive usage of animal meat. So there is a lot of things to do also to feed the world. And I really encourage entrepreneurs probably to tackle this kind of problem. Environment, that's an evidence that the planet is today under pressure. We need really radical solutions if we want to respect the Paris Agreement. Poverty is also a problem. 1% of the population won 40% of the resources. What does it mean? That 99% of the population, 99% won 60% of the population, of the resources. And for example, on the Facebook group of the Superpreneur Blueprint, and later at the end of the presentation, we will give you the link if you want to join this community. Someone came with a crazy idea, and this crazy idea was, look, why not to invite the richest people on the planet to see what is really poverty, and to bring them, you know, in places where there are really, really poor people. And most of you probably, they will say, bah, that's crazy, this will never happen, etc. Yes, probably to bring them physically, I think is going to be very challenging, for sure. But what about, for example, a virtual reality application that could allow to immerse wealthy people in conditions of poor people? And maybe when they would experience this kind of, you know, living, maybe they will be ready to share a little bit more of what they have. So again, think I'm possible and not it's impossible. There are some other problems like terrorism, war, disease, of course. With the COVID, we see that pandemic is at a big risk for the coming decades. Education, many people, many children on the planet, they don't have access to a good education. So there are a lot of solutions today coming up for this. So as you see, even if the world is getting much better, there are still a lot of problems. And let me give you an example. And before giving you some examples, what you have to understand, as Peter Diamandis says, is that the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest opportunities. So take these problems as opportunities for you, not only to have an impact, but also to build a breakthrough venture. And let me give you some examples. And first of all, let's start with probably the genius of the 21st century, Elon Musk. He is a great innovator for sure. And maybe you know or you don't know that Elon Musk, he is living in LA, in Los Angeles. And SpaceX is located close to LA. And he has a very particular weak ethic, I would say, Elon Musk, because he starts working with SpaceX from Monday to Wednesday. then on Thursday, he is commuting to San Francisco to go to Tesla and going back to LA on Friday. So he is commuting always between Los Angeles and San Francisco. And probably that during this commute, he thought, look, there should be probably a better way to commute than to take the plane or to take the car. And so he did a sketch about an idea, again, a crazy idea, which was a kind of high-speed train called Hyperloop, which is going at 600 miles per hour on air cushions. So there are cabin, you enter, it's underground or overground, but in sealed tubes, and you go very fast from one city to another. But as a matter of fact, Elon Musk is very busy. He has so many already ventures that he decided not to do and to pursue himself. So he wrote a white paper and made it available as open source. And some bold entrepreneurs took the idea, like Richard Branson and Virgin, and now they are materializing this crazy idea with the Hyperloop. And there are probably today between 8 and 10 teams around the world that are materializing the Hyperloop concept. This is another one with the first, let's say, prototype of the train. Another super entrepreneur is Peter Diamandis that I already mentioned before. He wanted to be an astronaut. And he realized, Peter, that becoming an astronaut, the chances are very, very small. Moreover, most of the astronauts, they only fly 2, maximum 3 times. But why not, if you are an astronaut, to fly whenever you want? And so he decided to launch a competition, the X Prize competition, to create the first private space flight company or airline, if you want. And so this was the Ansari X Prize, a 10 million X Prize, and a team which was sponsored by Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, won the competition with Spaceship One, which is now, you can see it in the Space and Air Museum of Washington, DC. So again, Richard Branson, again him, took the idea and created Virgin Galactic to really have the first private space tourism company. And this is what today the Spaceship Two cabin looks like. It's very nice, and it will offer a very nice experience to the future private astronauts. So again, it was a crazy idea, but today is going to be materialized, and the first private flights will start very soon. Another super entrepreneur is Pat Brown. And Pat Brown is a scientist, and he realized that there is a big problem with food and with the excessive usage of animal. So why not to create nice meat, nice burgers that really taste like meat, but that are made from plants? But he was struggling with this because he was trying, experimenting, and all these burgers were not tasting, even with, you know, spices, etc., where they were not tasting as real meat. And then he discovered a magic molecule called M. And this molecule is something which is present into animals. And this molecule gives to the meat this particular taste that for the meat lovers we like. So now what he does, he injects this molecule into the burgers, and the burgers looks fantastic and really taste as meat. They are so nice that he convinced Burger King to adopt the Impossible food. And now there is the Impossible Whopper. That's fantastic. So again, a crazy idea that has been materialized with a commercial product. Another super entrepreneur is David Hanson. David is, his dream is to have robots, humanoids, that really live among us and really help humans. And so he created Sophia, a humanoid, a female humanoid that is very, very smart. And she is so smart that Saudi Arabia decided to grant citizenship to Sophia. So it's the first robot to have a citizenship. And she is so smart that when a US journalist asked her about the danger of robots for humans, she did a joke about Elon Musk, because she said, look, you are reading too much the tweets of Elon Musk. If you are kind with us, we will be kind with you. And everyone was completely blown away by this response from the robot, because it was not programmed before. She just responded this thanks to the artificial intelligence that she has. And even David Hanson, the founder of Hanson Robotics, which is behind this robot, was completely amazed by the response. So again, the reality is going so fast, you know, it's exponential. Another guys who are very, very smart and real super entrepreneurs too are the founders around Lilium. And Lilium, it's a German-based company, and they want to have electric flight, so small taxi aircraft between cities. So this is really to allow fast transport, which is emission-free, etc., to really fight against, let's say, the negative, let's say, usage of fossil fuels in the transport industry. Another super entrepreneur is Jos van Oorschot. He is a young Dutch entrepreneur, and Jos was dreaming about creating a moon base. And you know that there are many programs from NASA and ESA to come back to the moon, but for all these programs, there will be a need of a lot of electric power. And his idea is, instead of bringing the solar panels from Earth to the moon, let's create the solar panels directly on the moon by using moon dust. Completely crazy idea. But he realized, look, this is going years and years before materializing this crazy idea. So let's do it first on Earth. And let's create what is called a TerraBox, which is a machine where you put desert sand on one side and you produce solar panels, fully operational panels, all made just from sand. And this can look completely crazy, but today it's materializing in Luxembourg. And I'm one of the co-founders of the company, and I can tell you that the technologies, they work. And we are on our way to produce our first panels completely from sand. So again, crazy idea from the start and materialize in something which is completely breakthrough. Now, you may be wondering, okay, Fabrice, thanks for saying this, but all these guys are doing, because yeah, they are amazing and they did some amazing things, but all they do differently. And there is some principles in order to build such kind of breakthrough companies. And it's what I call, in the Superpreneur Blueprint framework, the success formula, the path towards success. And the path towards success, I'm going to explain you today what is it about. It's actually acronyms for the core pillars, the guiding principles, and the key characteristic of becoming a superpreneur. So path means, and this is the acronym for the core pillars, path means purpose, ambition, trust, and humility. So these are the core pillars of any superpreneurs, to have a purpose, to have ambition, trust, and humility, and I will explain you in more detail just in a minute. Then there are some guiding principles when you build such kind of ventures, which are behind the acronym towards. And these guiding principles are tracking, overachieving, the wow effect, attracting, rewarding, delivering, and selling. And finally, a superpreneur blueprint venture has some key characteristics behind the acronym success, which are, they are all service-minded, they are unique, they are customer-centric, they are competitive, executable, scalable, and sustainable. So today I will focus in this masterclass on this. Now, there is, let's say, a secret methodology to do it. So the recipe, if you want to do it, and this will be the topic of my new book. And at the end of the presentation, we will provide you a link, and you will have the possibility to subscribe to a list, so that you are among the very first one to be aware when the book will be available. But it should be available later this year. And there are also 7 master arts to really perfect your craft as a superpreneur. And for this, I wrote a very short e-booklet called The 7 Master Arts to be a Superpreneur, that I would be happy to send you on PDF form if you just send me an email, and we will provide you the details at the end of my presentation. What are the 7 master arts? Is the art of fast learning, the art of super thinking, the art of perception, the art of pattern recognition, the art of problem solving, the art of possibility, and the art of questioning. So these are critical arts to master to really become a superpreneur. But I will not go to that. There is this e-booklet. Today I will focus on the superpreneur blueprint path towards success. So let's go to it, and let's start first with the core pillars, which are purpose, ambition, trust, and humility. All superpreneurs are purposeful. They have a strong purpose, that they want to solve big problems, they want to impact the world, they want to make a significant impact in this world and to build a better world. And this is really helping them as a true north. And let me give you some examples. But for example, Hyperloop, they want to give people time for their lives. Virgin Galactic, they want to open space to change the world for good. Impossible Foods, they want to replace the use of animals to drastically reduce the humanity's destructive impact on the global environment. If you look at Anson Robotics, they want to create socially intelligent machines that enrich the quality of our lives. And Lilium, they want to connect cities and regions emission-free. Mana Electric, their purpose is to power human ambition. The next core pillar of the Superpreneur Blueprint is that superpreneurs are ambitious. They aim for 10x, not 10%. In this age of of exponential acceleration, 10% is incremental. It's not enough. You need to think really 10x minimum. You need really to make a difference by an order of magnitude. And this is really compliant with a framework which is quite well known, which is called the 4 disciplines of execution, 4DX, where the first thing is to focus on widely important goals. So these widely important goals are this: how can you make this 10x impact? The third pillar of this framework is that superpreneurs are masters at leveraging people, capital, and technology to get trust, their propulsive force. So if you want really to move and really change the world and solve these big problems, you need to become a master at leveraging all the resources available, and mostly people, capital, and technology. And superpreneurs are really very good at doing this. Again, this is, if we refer back to the 4DX framework, it's really this. Try to see what are the very specific things that you can do to have this domino effect. And superpreneurs are very good at detecting this and having this domino effect that really gives them a huge momentum. It's also very similar to an approach from Jim Collins, you know, with his series of books, Good to Great, Great by Choice, etc., where if you really identify the key elements of your flywheel, you will have this breakthrough that is coming, and you will spin faster and faster this flywheel. That's exactly the same let's say, philosophy. And this is a really core pillar of the framework. And the last one is that superpreneurs are humble, and they pass credit to their team because they know that it's going to be hard. So they are modest, let's say, they are humble, but they know that they are going to change the world. And if you look at Pat Brown with Impossible Foods, his business is now valued $4 billion, you know. It's quite a lot, but he is still managing the company from a small children's bedroom, you know. So he is very humble because he knows that every day he has to solve different challenges, and every day he has again to repeat, etc., because it's never, let's say, finish, you know. So the core pillars path are really, as I said, purpose, ambition, trust, and humility. Now let me show you the guiding principles of the methodology, which is the towards acronym. So it's tracking, overachieving, the wow effect, attracting, rewarding, delivering, and selling. So the first one is tracking, because superpreneurs are data-driven and they track their progress towards their goals. And again, this is very close to the 4DX framework, where you need to have a scoreboard or some way to track really your progress. Because if you don't track the progress, you will never know that you are going to achieve these big goals. So you have to really, from big goals to have smaller goals, and to really go small goal by small goals. And you need to track. And superpreneurs should really use all the data available to really track their progress towards the achievement of the goals. Regarding the overachievement, you know, Tom Peters said, underpromise and overachieve. There are some people that believe that underpromising and over-delivering is a terrible advice. What I believe as a guiding principle is that superpreneurs must keep their promise, because there are too much expectation on their shoulders. So they must keep on their promise. And most of the time they will overachieve as much as they can, because what they do is so revolutionary that it's not easy, but they try to overachieve as much as they can, but at least they keep on their promise. So this is a guiding principle. The next guiding principle is that superpreneurs have to build wow solution. What is a wow solution? It's a solution that when you see it, you say, wow, you know, like Mana with manufacturing solar panels from sand. Generally, when we explain this, people say, whoa, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. How to do this is by using exponential technologies or emerging technologies. And these are the 30 technologies of the next decade. If you don't know about them, learn about these technologies, because they will be everywhere, and they are already everywhere. And one of the secrets is to combine several technologies together. If we look at Mana Electric, for example, we are doing advanced materials with clean tech, with robotics. So most of, if we look at Sophia, the humanoid, you know, there is artificial intelligence, robotics, there is also blockchain, etc. So by combining these technologies, you can really have wow solutions. Now, another guiding principle is that superpreneurs know how to have an attractive business. And it's very important to have an attractive business to engage the various stakeholders. So the team, the investors, the partners. If we look at Lilium, for example, they are so attractive that they constantly raise huge amount of money. And the last one was $240 million. So that's just amazing, you know. If we look at Sophia, she did the cover of Cosmopolitan. Imagine a robot, a humanoid that makes the cover of Cosmopolitan. It's because it's so attractive. And when you have this, you create a momentum and everyone is following you. Virgin Galactic is also so attractive that they were able to hire a top Disney executive as their new CEO. So again, when you are attractive, you can bring the best people, the best investors, the best partners on board, which really help you to materialize your dream. Another guiding principle is that they construct a rewarding business, not only financial reward, but also social and environmental. If we look again at Lilium, today they are value 1 billion. I explained Impossible Food value 4 billion. But there are some other benefits. If we look at a company like Simprints, and Simprints is using biometric technologies used initially for the defense and the military sector in order to certify that someone really can benefit from some health services. And today they've reached more than 400,000 beneficiaries across 12 countries. So the impact here is really a societal impact. There are environmental impact, for example, like Mana Electric, where the technology will be able to save 0.5 gigaton of CO2 per year. So contributing significantly to the Paris agreements. Another guiding principle of the Superpreneur Blueprint is delivering. And superpreneurs know that 95% delivery is not enough. They are always looking at the 5% which makes the difference. And for example, AI Doc is an Israeli company that is doing automatic radiology diagnosis thanks to AI. And in their case, imagine 5% error is not acceptable, because then the result that will be given to someone. You know, someone could be detected a cancer while they don't have a cancer. So that's not possible, of course. So this cannot happen. They must deliver 100% for sure. And the last, let's say, guiding principle of the framework is that superpreneurs must be very good at selling. They inspire people to buy from them. And the best example that I can give you today is the Impossible Whopper from Impossible Foods. Yeah, when you reach this point that your product is everywhere in fast foods restaurants, yeah, it's proof that you are very good at selling. So the guiding principle, again, around, let's say, the TOWARDS acronym: tracking, overachieving, wow effect, attracting, rewarding, delivering, and selling. Now, let me go through the key characteristic of the Superpreneur Blueprint under the acronym SUCCESS. And here there is service-minded. So Blueprint Ventures are service-minded, unique, customer-centric, competitive, executable, scalable, and sustainable. We all know that customer is king, but Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures are making their customers feel special. They offer something extra. If we look at Virgin Galactic, look at this. It's an amazing interior of the cabin, you know? And so they offer something which is where you really feel that you are unique. And that's really a key characteristic of a Superpreneur Blueprint Venture. Superpreneur Blueprint Venture are unique, and they are the only one of its kind. They are unlike anything else. If you look at Mana Electric, who else on earth is manufacturing solar panels from sand? No one. So they are completely unique. They also put customer at the center of everything, because Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures are focused on customers, and the customers help them to always get better products, bring revenues, and also they use them as brand ambassadors to push them beyond their limits. If you look at the Hyperloop, they really did a very deep brainstorming about the customer experience to really have an awesome journey on board the Hyperloop. Another key characteristic of the Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures is that they are better than their competitors by an order of magnitude. If you look at the RX scanner, what they do is a scanner to detect counterfeit drugs. And their product is 5 times more portable than any competitive product, and is 10x cheaper than any competing product. So a really order of magnitude compared to competition. Another key characteristic of the Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures is that they are executable. And if you see what Steve Jobs was saying, he was saying, to me, ideas are worth nothing unless executed. They are just a multiplier, and execution is worth millions. And yes, Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures are constantly perfecting the small things that can hurt the business. They are really maniac about the flawless execution. And if you want to build this kind of breakthrough ventures, you must be really maniac about flawless execution. Look at Virgin Galactic. They constantly abort flights because they want to make more technical checks, which makes sense because they don't want to have their spacecraft which is destroyed. So it's really this kind of mindset that you need to have. And Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures are able to remove all barriers to scale exponentially. If you look at a company like Mana Electric, a few years, 2-3 years ago, we were only 6 people. Now we are 35, going to be probably 45 in a couple of months. So we are scaling exponentially. And it's really a key characteristic of Superpreneur Blueprint Venture. And last but not least, Superpreneur Blueprint Ventures are sustainable by creating a long-lasting impact in the world. If you look at Virgin Galactic, they are just the precursor of space tourism. I strongly believe that in several years, we will have regular, let's say, flight to space, maybe to the moon, why not to Mars? Mana Electric is really contributing to this expansion of solar energy, but also renewable energies. Companies like Simprints are helping, more people to benefit from healthcare, and Anson Robotics is really helping to have robots among our lives. And last day I watched at television, this restaurant in China where everything is done by robots. So the meals are prepared by robots, the waiter is a robot, everything is robots. And I think that this probably will happen more and more thanks to this kind of pioneers like David Anson and Anson Robotics. So once again, what is the Superpreneur Blueprint framework? Is the path towards success, which, let's say, have these core pillars, guiding principles, key characteristic, the methodology that you will discover when you will read my new book, and I hope you will read it, and the 7 master arts that you can get the short e-booklet. So I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I think I'm right in the time. What are the key takeaways of this masterclass? First of all, start by the problem you want to solve. I described 10 of the biggest problems. There are probably problems that I didn't mention that you will, let's say, see. And start by the problem and find a problem that really speaks to your heart, because probably as a superpreneur, you are going to spend 10 years, if not 20 years to that. So find something that is really speaking to you and start with this. Then define your purpose. What do you want to achieve? What is going to be your true north, Because it's going to be hard, let's be honest. It's going to be hard, it's going to be very difficult. Sometimes you will probably say, why I'm doing this, etc. But then you just think about the purpose, about the impact you want to create, and you will find the grit to continue. And be bold. We have one life, so let's be bold. Let's be audacious. Let's try to build a better world. And I encourage you to be a builder. Build things that some other people can use, that can contribute to make a better world, that can, really enrich our daily lives. But I think one of the key secret is that you will need to execute flawlessly because of course, you can have failures, but really this is the secret if you want to really scale and to achieve, to have a Superpreneur Blueprint venture, a breakthrough venture. But last but not least, enjoy the journey. Maybe you will not succeed the first time. Maybe you will not succeed the second time. And maybe you will succeed the third time. So during your journey, just enjoy it. Create strong relationship with your team. And maybe it will not work the first time, but the second time, or the third time, maybe you will take again these guys that you were very happy to work with them, and maybe that time you will succeed. So enjoy the journey, because again, we have one life, so try to take the most of your journey as a superpreneur. And I will finish, let's say, my masterclass by this quote from Abraham Lincoln that I like very much. This quote: the best way to predict your future is to create it. So I really encourage you to create the future, to create your future, our future, to create simply the future. You have everything in your hands to do it. Others could do it, so I really encourage you to do it. Thank you. Be bold and build the world you love. Thank you very much. And before maybe to go to the Q&A, just a few more words, because I want to help you to maximize your breakthrough potential. So I would like to share with you a couple of things, and I think that Liesel will put some links into the chat box. First of all, if you want to get a copy of the 7 Master Arts, just send me an email to fab@superpreneur.online, and I will be pleased to send you a PDF copy. Second thing, I invite you to join the Superpreneur Blueprint Club. It's very easy. You go on superpreneurblueprint.club and you just enter your email address. You will not be spammed with a lot of emails. Generally, I'm doing a monthly newsletter, but I will also invite you to special events or special things, etc. So feel free to join the Superpreneur Blueprint Club. There is no catch. It's totally free, and I think you will get some value from it. Next thing, you may want to apply to the Superpreneur Facebook group. It's a cool group where we exchange some ideas, etc. And this may help you maybe to materialize some crazy ideas. I mentioned that I'm, let's say, finalizing my new book. And if you want to be among the very first ones to get my new book, just go on the link that will be provided in the chat box. As soon as the book will be, I will know the release date, you will be informed about it, and you will be able to get the book, and there will be some cool bonus together with the book. And last but not least, I created the Superpreneur test. So what is the Superpreneur test? It's very short, only 10 questions. So it's very easy. It will take you 1-2 minutes to do it. And at the end of the Superpreneur test, you will receive your Superpreneur profile, around 10 attributes. So it will help you to see maybe where are your strong points and maybe the points that you need to improve in order to become a Superpreneur. So I really encourage you. And again, I think Liesel will put the link in the chat box. So feel free to just take the Superpreneur test. I think it's cool and you will enjoy the result. And finally, if you want just to connect with me, there are different ways: Twitter, Instagram, email, LinkedIn. Just connect and let's have fun together and let's build a better world. Thank you all for your attention. I really appreciate that you make you available today. It was a pleasure to deliver this masterclass. And now I give back the floor to Craig and Liesel. Thank you.
Wow, Fabrice, thank you so much. I got goosebumps time and time again, and it was really wow, especially your closing quote from Abraham Lincoln is super inspiring. And I think one of the things I would like to add, which I did type in the comment myself, was that we need to surround ourselves with like-minded people. And all those links that I've shared a couple of times from yourself is go and find those superpreneurs there, go and surround yourself with Fabrice and the other superpreneurs. We have quite a few comments and questions, Fabrice, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I know some people had to leave after the hour, and some people have been struggling a lot with their connections this morning. So Andrew Murray, I don't know if you're still here. You've made quite a few comments. One of the comments were dealing with exponentially requires a step change in level of. And also you said, Andrew, I'm learning so much that it's hard to think about responses. And then finally, Andrew, you said execute flawlessly is where the level up needs to happen. So Andrew, if you are still here, I don't know if you would just mind unmuting yourself and just quickly, I see you are still here, just quickly talk to those comments that you've made.
Super. Okay, thanks, Lisa. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Murray. Hi, Fabrice. Thanks for a fantastic presentation.
Hi, Andrew.
I think the most inspiring bit was just after the Abraham Lincoln, where you said, "Be bold and create the world you love." Okay, so that's something I'm going to take forward as a tagline. Thanks very much for that. Okay, so when it comes to this, I'm working in this space at the moment as a sideline. And what I've found is that there are levels in the way that things develop. There are levels in technology. We started off in the Stone Age. It took us thousands of years to get to steel and so on until we get to technology. So that rapidly increasing rate of change takes place. With that, you get a rapid increase in numbers, which we're seeing in our population going into the billion space. And there is a need to exponentially increase the structure and the models that we use to be able to handle that. Unfortunately, you can only build a skyscraper on the back of the foundation technology that you need to put in place to hold it, okay? As a world, we need to level up our foundations if we are going to achieve the takeoff that we are possible of doing. And I think it was Mumble, somebody in the comments said something about increasing education. That's one of the key pillars. But what I'm finding in my research is that there are these distinct levels, and you have to change the way that you think and the way that you approach your problems. The problems that we're looking at now are something called fourth order problems. They're wicked problems, and they require a network solution. Okay, so you're actually having a situation where you're looking at a network of linked systems, which I think, Fabrice, you mentioned too. And this is where this exponential change needs to come in. It's no longer about one person going off on a mission to go and build a better something or other, better mousetrap. It's about a number of people coming together, bringing in different aspects under key core common guiding principles that produce the kind of things like we see with the Mana, that we see with Spaceship One and so on. It's about people coming together to bring in different parts, different systems to create the combinations you're talking about. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for this nice comments and nice insight. Very interesting. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And then Fabrice, we have Loy. Loy, I don't know if you're still awake. You woke up extremely early this morning from America. Is when you say that we need distributors in the US and Canada of a product that has a technology, active pure technology, that has been inducted to the Space Technology Hall of Fame and has been proven to kill the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 in the air and surfaces. So the question from Loy is, and maybe some advice here, Fabrice, is how do I attract people who want to share this innovative and breakthrough technology?
Well, you know, in order to attract people, I think it's a process, and maybe some of you know the triple R, let's say, model. Let's say something that I'm using quite a lot, what I'm doing mentoring. First of all, you know, when you have a new idea, new solution, the first is awareness. So you need to be that people are aware you exist. So there are many, let's say, ways to do it, of course, but first of all, you need to talk about it. So maybe write in a blog, make an article on LinkedIn or on some social platforms, etc., and talk about your idea, your solution. Maybe you can be interviewed in some podcasts, etc. Also, you can probably, based on the keywords around your technology, you take the different keywords, you reserve the domain names, and all the domain names are, for example, linking to a landing page where you can register the interest of some potential people. So there are different ways to activate this awareness. After the awareness is the acquisition of the people, and for this you need maybe a demo, a proto, something, nice testimonials maybe of some early users, etc., to have at least a first interest from some potential customers. Then it's of course the activation. You need then probably to make an offer, maybe to make a one-to-one demonstration, something like this. And then finally, yes, you will have to convert this, let's say, hot prospects into potential customers. So I think it's a process, but the first thing is that people must be aware that you exist. So be as present as possible. And you know, all the guys that I described in my masterclass, they started with this because initially nobody knew about them, but progressively they try to use as many platforms as they could, so that people are aware that they exist. I think that's the first step.
Okay, thank you, Loy. I don't know if that answers your question, and if you're still here, I'm just checking. Yes, Loy, are you happy with that response? Any other questions for clarification you might want to ask Loy? You're welcome to unmute. Okay, I think let's move on to Tef's question. I'm going to. Are you back, Loy? Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you for the response. I really appreciate what Fabrice said, and I will put them into action. Thank you.
Okay, great. Action
Thank
is.
you, Loy. Yeah, action is what's important. Yes, Loy.
What else? What did he say? I mean, as I said, the answer to my question by Fabrice is very accurate, and I'll try to put it into action so that because I want to, Superpreneur, want to make this world a better place. What can be a better place if this pandemic will end? So, as Fabrice said, we have to be aware of. I have to. I'd have to let others be aware that I exist, and that I have a solution to the problem that is facing the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll share all these assets from the presentation with everybody. Craig, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. Fabrice, you said the AAA, awareness, acquisition, activation, and I thought you'd said there were two acronyms or two.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, what was the other one? Yeah,
I can put in the chat box. So the first one is awareness.
Yeah, I've got awareness, acquisition, activation, but what was
activation? I'm not typing fast enough. Then there is revenue. Then there is
3 R's. Okay.
Retain the customers, and the last one is referral.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I thought I might have missed something, so I'm glad I asked. The 3 R's as well. We've got that. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. And then I just want to.
If you Google it, it's very well known. but to be honest, it's something that I'm applying to. I think initially it was made for more, let's say, IT businesses, etc., platforms. But to be honest, it's a model that you can apply to anything. It's if you really can use it, it's very powerful in my opinion. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. And then just the last few comments. Atif Ahmed from India says that I think we should add to the top 10 world problems the dangers of pandemics in the future. And from his point of view, that is asking the question, what we need to be superpreneurs in the field of human health. I think, are you asking the question, what do we need to do to be superpreneurs in the field of human health, Atif?
Thank you, Fabrice. Thank you all. I really enjoyed your awesome presentation. Yeah. Well, my question is about that you mentioned in one of your slides that the top 10 challenges or grand challenges in the world. Yeah. And I think that we have to add the diseases and pandemics, especially pandemics, especially after the appearance of the spread of COVID-19. So this is a very important topic and issue in the world. And I think that we have to add number 11 for your list or for the list, because actually no one knows how destructive the pandemics will be in the next decades. And if we will not work as a superpreneur, as you mentioned, in that field, or as a scientist at that field, I think that we will face big problems in the future, because you know that COVID-19 or novel coronavirus affected the whole life, the whole planet in that. So my question is about how we can, what we need to work in the field of the health and to predict what will happen in the next year. So thank you, Fabrice. I really enjoyed your awesome presentation. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's not an easy question, of course. And I don't have, let's say, I will be very humble. I don't think that I have all answers to all questions, and particularly what we should do, etc. But yes, I agree with you that diseases, and this is one of the top 10 problems that I mentioned. I think disease is clearly, and pandemics are clearly a big problem. I think there is a lot of research which is done into health, etc. Probably that today a lot of the reasoning is to just cure, let's say, diseases and not to prevent enough. And I think that the big inventions that are coming today, and I know most of superpreneurs that are working on this, is to prevent the disease to happen and to really. And so there are many innovations. For example, I was reading this week this company which is doing nanobots, you know, that will go in your body and that will really track all your health parameters in order to give you a very good assessment of your health. And probably this kind of predictive medicine can help people to take the necessary drugs, etc., or to do everything which is necessary before the disease is appearing to them. Now, how to prevent, let's say, the next pandemics, I don't have the solution. And I think if I would have the solution, I think many people would be happy for sure. But unfortunately, this I don't know. But yes, I guess that at least at human level, predictive medicine is probably something that should be far more improved in the coming years. Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. I think you've raised your hand to add something.
Yeah, I was going to emphasize biotech, which is exactly what Fabrice has done. And if you really want to keep an eye on that, one of the interesting places to do that is Kathy Wood's ARK Invest on YouTube or a website. So the ARK Invest guys that are investing in what they call the big platforms of transformation. And I think the other point to make is that we don't only have to focus on biotech to help solve these problems. Fabrice made the point that these transformational technologies impact across industries and across markets. So if your interest is in AI, or if your interest is in the future of mobility and transport, I mean, look at how COVID has affected mobility and transport. Look at how it's affected work from home. So there's many other aspects that one can work towards to actually make our lives better under a pandemic. So just thinking broader than disease specifically.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you very much, Craig. Thanks for your response as well, Fabrice and Ate, for your question. And then I'm going to combine 3 statements or questions that were made as well during your presentation, Fabrice. The question goes to, is purpose relevant to superpreneurs, and does a massive transformative purpose really attract the right stakeholders? And I think that leads into some of the other comments that were also made around how does one convince investors to join the journey. And that's specifically from Alistair, and then some responses around that. And Frances then also said that her concept is so extreme that it actually turns down any investor. So I think there might be a link between attracting the right stakeholders, attracting investors, having a purpose, and having an MTP. Would you like to respond to that, Fabrice?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Thanks for asking. Look, from my own experience, yes, it's true that sometimes investors are a bit, let's say, they say, I think it's the paradox, because some investors say, yeah, we like bold ideas, etc. We invest in crazy ideas, bold people, etc. The reality is that only a very few investors really do that, because most of them, as it has been mentioned, sometimes are afraid, and they say, yeah, that's impossible. It's exactly what I mentioned. Their first reaction, it's impossible. They don't think it's possible. And so I think that, as an entrepreneur, you need to identify very bold investors, people that probably they have already an experience with this kind of ventures, that can really try to support you, because they also know the new technologies, etc. And so they know that it's possible. Yeah, it will be challenging, but it's possible. Of course, at some point, you need to come with more than just an idea. You probably need to prove that you have a real, let's say, business case, that you will be able to generate revenues, that you can build the technology, etc. So I think there are, of course, a lot of steps before to convince them. But there are such kind of investors. If you look at, I mentioned Peter Diamandis. Peter Diamandis has also a venture capital firm called Bold Partners. And typically, Bold Partners, Bold Capital, invest in really this kind of ideas. So, and it's not the only one. There are funds around the world that invest really in this kind of very deep tech and very crazy ideas. But of course, they will not invest just because you have an idea. You have to demonstrate that you have more than just an idea, that you are able to build a team, that you have a real business case, that you have a plan, etc. So I think, and again, I'm describing this in my new book, and I'm giving some tips in the book in that respect. So again, I encourage you maybe to read the book when it will be published. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, and we will definitely make sure that the community also gets informed when your book is published. Lana, I think you would like to add to the comments.
Yes, thanks, or rather a question. Hi, Fabrice, and thank you very much for a really enjoyable presentation. Hi. As I always say, sorry, my picture is better than my real life camera, so I'll just stay on picture for now.
No problem.
So to achieve what you've set out and to look at a lot of the problems over the next 50 years, it's going to be the next generation who are going to be looking at solving this and solving a lot of these issues that you've mentioned. What is your take on education in terms of how do we educate the next generation that will be able to take on a lot of these challenges that we are faced with at the moment? You know, as we are the, I wouldn't say older generation, but we are, in inverted commas, we are taking this forward, but we're going to need to bring in, obviously, our youth to take over from this. So what are your thoughts on what is needed? What are the real skills now that people need to drive these solutions?
Yeah,
I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Lana, and I like very much this question because I am also the father of 4 kids, so it's something I reflected quite a lot. Unfortunately, I believe that the education system today is still an heritage of the industrial, let's say, age and the 19th century. You know, so a big shift has to be done, in my opinion, on the way we educate, let's say, our children. And there are some critical skills that are not really taught today to kids. For example, in my opinion, if you want to become an entrepreneur, and even if you are not an entrepreneur, but in this age of acceleration, the capacity to sell, the capacity to present, to pitch is very important. And this is not a skill that is taught enough, in my opinion, into school. Also, what about to really learn more, let's say, technologies to children? You know, for example, a 3D printer does not cost a lot today. And there should be 3D printers in schools where the children, they can rapidly make some prototypes, build things with a 3D printer, etc. But this is not really happening in most of the schools. For example, from Hanson Robotics is today working on a small version of Sophia, which is called Little Sophia. It was available on Kickstarter. I purchased one for my kids, for example, you know, to learn them a bit about robotics, about programming in Python, etc. And these are things which does not cost a lot, but that could really be helpful for children. And I'm sure that children will love that. And also all the master arts that I described, you know, problem solving, see possibilities everywhere instead of problems. I think these are, let's say, the pattern recognition and all these kind of what I call the master arts. I think that these are critical skills today to have, not only to run, let's say, breakthrough ventures, but simply to succeed in life. And unfortunately, I don't think that that most of this is today taught at school. We try to teach a lot of matters, etc., that are anyway are available today. You just Google and you have all the information, you know. I don't say that it's not helpful, but for example, if you teach history, to know by heart all the dates, etc., is it really relevant? Because today you just ask Siri about a specific date, you have the answer automatically. So what is the purpose of doing this? So I think a revolution needs to happen, in my opinion, into education, but it's very complicated because there is a lot of resistance, and it's driven by politics. And so, yeah, the first one that we should change is probably the politics in that respect.
Thank you. Yeah, I just gave a talk the other day about the revolution that's going to be taking place in South Africa in education. Yeah, because this is a very political thing between the have and the have-nots, and it's going to get worse and worse until the education changes. And we stop teaching and we start letting, create environments where children can learn, and not necessarily, we don't necessarily have to teach them. It's just, today you can go into a little, I don't know, a room with a small projector and a cell phone, and you can teach these children, and this is democratizing education as much as it is democratizing entrepreneurship. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lana. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Craig has captured the keynotes.
I wanted to just flip through them so that they're on the recording for everybody, but we unfortunately don't have time to talk through them. Of course, we'll share them as well, but that was absolutely amazing, and let's create the future that we want to see as suggested. So that's it, and over to you, Liesl. Or am I talking to this one?
You're more than welcome to speak to this one, and then we'll give Fabrice the last note. Thanks.
Awesome. So next Thursday evening, and because Jeff Booth is based in Vancouver at 5 p.m. GMT +2, we have Jeff Booth talking to us about becoming a purposeful investor and a purposepreneur. So in order to democratize entrepreneurship in Africa, which is our massive transformative purpose, we need a new model for economic development. So it'll be awesome if as many of you as possible share this and join us next Thursday evening at 5. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much. Fabrice, the comments in the chat is overwhelmingly from gratefulness to you to share and wake us up, etc. for this. And I know it's intimidating to become a superpreneur, but Fabrice is a living example for us on what is possible. So Fabrice, a big thank you from us. I would like to hand over the last few seconds to you, if you would like.
Yeah, no, thanks, Liesl. Thanks, Craig. Perfect organization. I see that maybe I start to giving, let's say, some kind of dynamic, because after the superpreneur, there will be the purposepreneur, and maybe there will be, let's say, other thing, I don't know, worldpreneur, etc. So I think that's nice, because in my opinion, we need more entrepreneurship. We need more builders, more people that contribute to make a better world, because ultimately what all of us we want is to live, and that our children live in a world that will be a bit better than it is today. So yes, I encourage everybody to see how they can contribute to this at their level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will have the recording available from this session and the workshop, the masterclass summary notes as well for you by close of business. Fabrice, thank you very much. Everybody have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much, Fabrice. It was awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.